Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Now I would like to give a response towards the question given to me by Mrs.Aan. All of the questions will be displayed in the description box below. Now let's get into the video. The first questions relate to why is it important for us to identify the existence of peace values within the textbook. The reason why it is important to identify the existence of peace values within the textbooks is that we can know whether the textbook have completely immersing the necessary peace values. As Balasoria stated in 2001, there are three main subsections of peace values. They are inner peace, social peace, and peace with nature. And all of these three subsections of peace should be properly integrated within the textbook. So therefore, it is important for us to analyze whether this textbook have integrated all of these subsections of peace values correctly within the textbooks. Now, related to what does it mean by peace values? Well, peace values based on United Nations is part of the culture of peace. This is a way of life based on respect of life. It is a set of values that respect life basically, and end to all violence, and also giving peaceful and harmony towards each other in the society. The question number 2 related to the urgency of research with other books related to peace values. So it is very urgent for us to research on another textbook because we want to make the publisher accountable. The publisher has already stated that they are complying with the 2013 curriculum. Therefore, they have to integrate all the 18 character traits that should have exist within the textbooks. And one of those is peace-loving values. So we should know and make them accountable for their actions. If somehow they say that their book complying with the 2013 curriculum, then we should check whether that claim is true or not. Therefore, it's pretty urgent for us to do that kind of things. For practical contributions, I did touch a little bit about that because in the practical contributions, I said that textbook author and publisher are expected to provide more inclusion of peace values content in EFL textbooks. So therefore, it is a valid point because we want to make them to include more of the peace values into the school textbooks while also making them accountable for their actions. The third question is related to the process of textbook selections. In this current status quo right now, almost all of the public schools are utilizing the government official textbook. Therefore, it is pretty easy for me to look for non-governmental English textbooks in the market, which one of those came from a respected publisher and extremely affordable in price, because a lot of people will use this particular textbook if it is affordable. So I think this textbook is pretty affordable and come from a pretty respected private publisher. And then the considerations of selecting these textbooks, as I said before, there are three main considerations. The first one is the possible widely use of these particular textbooks because of this textbook is nationally marketed by the particular publisher. And then the second one is related to the claim of the textbook, which employ the latest 2013 curriculum. And then the third one is related to the status of the publisher as one of the leading publisher in Indonesia. That is my considerations in selecting the particular textbook. Number 4, related to the context of my research. I think that I have listed that particular topics in my draft, for example, and now I'll going to be explaining again. So the research context, the title of the textbook is Talk Active. It was designed for the 10th grade senior high school students, and then it's written by Lani Kurniawan and Kenneth W. Amon. It is published by one of the leading publisher, which is Yudhistira, and the textbook particularly contains 10 units and 195 pages in total. Now the questions number 5. So it is related to what does exactly the 2013 curriculum says about the required characters. So the 2013 curriculum said that the required character values should be integrated to all subjects. This might include English, for example, Indonesian language, for example, mathematics, and everything, to all subjects. So it is properly included in all of the subjects in order to maximize the result of the national character building. So that's pretty much makes sense up to that point. And then, have you informed to the readers? Yes, I have stated clearly in my draft. So it is a cited articles by Mambu in 2015, which stated that all of the required character values have to be integrated within all of the subject. So that's implying that ELT textbook, as one of those textbook, should have been properly integrated with the idea of peace values completely. And now for the questions number 6. What is the specific relations between peace values and the norm or values stated within the curriculum of 2013? The direct connections is pretty clear that peace value is an inseparable part of that 18 character traits or character values, and all of those 18 character traits are the strong foundations for a person with a good characters and good foundations. I think it is really relatable for us to see peace values as related to one of our norms in Indonesia, because Indonesian peoples often than not, we respected one another, we respect each other, and then we also have the sense of unity and the sense of collaborations with one another. So this is literally hand in hand with the definitions of peace values, which is the values which encourage people to do a peaceful coexistence with one another in the end and create a strong unity within our social circles. And then the next one is related to what kind of peace values will I use as an indicators. So it is very clear that I will utilize a Balasurya statement that peace values, or in this case the culture of peace, is the sum of inner peace, social peace, and peace with nature. So inner peace is related to how we make peace with ourselves. So is our inner peace. So this is related to the idea of our health, good health, our happiness, our spiritual peace, and also our wisdoms, the feelings of kindness in us, and then the affections, benevolence, and the respect of art. So this is related to ourselves, not to the other people. Now, it is social peace. Social peace is related to the idea of harmony with other peoples. So this is related to the society in general. For example, all people is related to the idea of respect to all peoples, and then the sense of unity, mutual agreement with one another, sense of collaborations, feeling of kinship, and then tolerance towards diversity, which is very important since Indonesia is a diverse nation which in dire need of diversity, tolerance, and the sense of democracy and communal buildings, which is very important for us to sustain the idea of a good society in the end of the day. Now, it is related to the idea of peace with nature. Peace with nature generally is the general respect toward nature, in a sense that we do not harm anything with nature, we do not kill unnecessary animals, and we do not cause them suffer, cause them harm. We do not, for example, harm the earth by overmining and illegal logging and etc. So this is related to the peace that related with earth. So that is all the characteristic that I'm going to use. So I will look at the image and I will internalize and contemplate if that particular image are suited among one of those categories. It is related to oneself, it is related to the society in general, our relation with society, or is it related to nature in general. So that is the kind of indicators that I'm going to use to analyze the idea of peace values in the visual representations. Now we're going to talk about the questions number 7. So the question number 7 is related to the terminology good citizens. So what do I mean by good citizen? In my perspective, good citizens is an individual who can divide between right and wrong. So good citizen itself, how is it related to the idea of the concept of peace and peace values? In order for us to be a good citizen, we have to possess the idea of peaceful mindset. So it is very important. If we are not peaceful, if we are aggressive, we are not going to be considered as a good citizens, because we have the tendency to do, for example, a criminal act, for example, violence, and etc. So that is very dangerous for us as individuals and as citizens. Therefore, one of the necessary traits of a good citizen is the possession of peaceful mindset. So this is directly stated by Halstead and Monica in 2000. So the correlations is real. That good citizens is an individuals who can behave properly and differentiate between right and wrong in society, and good citizens need to be able to internalize the idea of peaceful mindset in order to possess the necessary skills to integrate and coexist with one another in a peaceful manner. So this is also supported by, as I said before, Halstead and Monica in 2000. Now, I would like to address the next questions related to the culture of peace, value to the textbook, and the role of curriculum 13 on the national character building. The first one is the culture of peace. As I said before, the culture of peace is a terminology that has been adapted by United Nations in recognition of peace and peace values. So what the bridge between the culture of peace and values to the textbooks? It is pretty clear. The explanations of Balasurya in 2001 is the clear bridge on how actually Balasurya defined the culture of peace as the inner peace, social peace, and peace with nature. Therefore, the bridge is very clear to me. And then the next one is the role of curriculum 13 on the national character building. So the role of curriculum 13 on national character building is very crucial in a sense that the latest curriculum, K13, provided with a detailed list on what actually needed to be achieved and what should be determined as a good character and can be used as a guidance to guide students to achieve the best character possible, as the goal of the curriculum 13 is to put the emphasis on a good character education and to advance the national character building effort. The next question is related to what the definition of CDA. CDA, according to Fairclough in 2001, is an interdisciplinary study of discourse which view language as a social practice. So in this case, language can be seen as a social practice. In this case, textbook could also be translated to a social practice in its applications. On how actually I'm going to use critical discourse analysis. So the first one is that I'm going to look at the pictures and then to identify the signs that exist within the pictures, and then to question what is the intentions of the textbook publisher or textbook author in displaying such kind of sign, because critical discourse analysis itself has something to do with the idea of imbalance of power that exists within particular text, for example. So that's it. Alright everyone, that is my response towards the questions given to me by Mrs.Aan and Mrs.Aan. I hope all of my responses is sufficient to answer all of your questions. So again, thank you. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.